That's incredible. And David, just show us why, from a Jewish perspective, Christian support is so important, and also for Christians, how vital is it that they get back to understanding their Hebrew roots, knowing, for example, that all of our Old Testament, of course, and the New Testament is completely Jewish. That Jesus was, well, we believe he's the Messiah, the Anointed One, but also that he was a rabbi. His followers, his disciples, were rabbis. Paul, the apostle, was he was extremely high up in the religious order of his day, and the early church was all Jewish, which we seem to have lost over the centuries or thousands of years, really.
So I'm going to give you from an Orthodox Jewish perspective as why is the importance of this relationship very sacred from my perspective. So there are people who are involved in Jewish-Christian relations because it's a relationship of convenience or crisis. I look at it as I can't be the fullness of a Jew stewarding the land of Israel without you, because this is not, because at the end, redemption is not a Jewish VIP club. In order for me to be who I am, I need to be in covenantal partnership with you. So for Christians to be willing to reconsider replacement theology, which has plagued the church for almost 2,000 years, and then to actively learn about the roots of their faith, and even come to Israel, and even have a concept called the International Christian Embassy of Jerusalem, is miraculous from my perspective, because the only precedent that we have from the institutionalized church is all negative. I don't understand, like before I walked into this calling of Jewish Christian relations, for a Christian to say they love me without an ulterior motive, I don't know what that means. But all of a sudden, as I would say, if you had a Herzl, you had a Reverend William Hechler at the same time. Like Hechler really paved the way for Herzl to do what he was doing. So whatever is happening in the redemptive circles of Jews, something's happening in Christianity to complement it. So therefore, all of a sudden, 1948 comes along, and a lot of Christians had to reconsider, wait a second, the reason why we know that Jews are rejected by God is because they're not in their land. Now, all of a sudden, we have sovereignty over the land. Well, we have to rethink what this is all about. So from my perspective, I can't be who I am, but you have to allow sacred space to happen in Christian circles for Christians to come to terms of something that was part of the mother milk of the church for 1800 to 2000 years, which is replacement theology. Not only that, here are Christians sincere, trying to help. How do the Jews respond to that? And from my perspective, it must be done with care and nurture and relationally, not out of convenience. To learn the Hebraic roots, for me, and just like when I studied Christian scriptures and I studied the Gospels, I'm like, how does a Christian truly get the high definition of what's happening in these stories without the understanding of Judaism in Second Temple period? Like there's something being lost. So if a Christian is willing to even contemplate their Hebraic roots and learn the Hebraic understanding of that, it only enhances the relationship. And I want to make this very clear. I want Christians to be Christ-centered, because if they are, then I have nothing to worry about. And what do I mean by that? I understand that Christians believe that Jesus is 100% divine, but they also believe in 100% of Jesus' humanity. And his humanity did not grow up in a Roman household. It grew up in a Jewish household. That means Jesus learned a way of interpreting scripture from a Jewish perspective. He's talking Jewishese to his disciples. So how do you decipher that if you don't have that educational background? So all of a sudden, since in the academic circles, you have Sanders, you have people who are willing to go ahead and consider a Hebraic way of learning, has only enhanced the relationship and has given its nurture and integrity. So I think it's vitally important. It doesn't mean every Christian out there loves me. I think most Christians don't care about me. But for the people who are actively involved in the calling, which is tens of millions, are actively involved in the calling of it, and ICEJ ICEJ provides one of those institutional platforms for a Christian to actualize their calling in supporting Israel and the Jewish people, that there has to be a Jewish response to that. And my hope is that in my position of what I'm doing in the Isaiah projects, that proper response is relational. That for me to be who I am here means I'm in covenantal bond with you, Simon, and with you, Dave.
Absolutely incredible, particularly as we consider the last 2,000 years of hostility. We see that wall of hostility between Jews and Christians broken down on our day, which is quite incredible because we make up that Judeo-Christian heritage. But we only got about 15 minutes before the end, so really want your reflection and your thoughts on what can only be described as the worst mass terrorist attack in Israel's history that occurred on Saturday, the 7th of October.